tell me some of the things that were a first for you.
I've never been on a plane. That's the first thing. I've never been into a different country. So that's the second.
Food? How about food?
Yeah, so poutine. I've never had poutine before, so I've had it a few times now. I've never taken public transportation as much as I have here. And that's another thing. Here it's so easy to take a bus and go where you want to go and find a bus to take you back almost immediately if you wanted to. In a place like Huntington, for example, you gotta wait every hour for the bus.
Okay. Any cultural surprises, things that you thought about that you didn't expect?
I didn't realize how French first it was here. I knew French was a big part of their history and culture and everything, but I thought it was kind of secondary to English, but it's very much things are written in French and then maybe they're written in English.
It's all kind of aligning to what I expected. Everyone is really nice that we've met so far. I knew that most everything would be in French and also in English too. It wouldn't just be one or the other. It was kind of what I expected. It's really awesome though.
Stuff that I expected people to speak French here, not as high volume as they do. So coming to Quebec and seeing basically the whole population only speaking French and a lot of them not even knowing English, that took me by surprise.
I didn't know that it was going to be so French speaking. I knew there's going to be signs and things in French, but I didn't know every single person you talk to was going to be speaking in French. I'm not going to be able to understand anybody's I'm not going to be able to eavesdrop on people because I don't know French. So it's just really different in that aspect.
I guess it's a stereotype, but when you think about Canada, you think of the nice Canadian saying how you doing, eh? And stuff like that. And I'm not saying people aren't nice here. I mean, they are nice. The people I've talked to have been really nice, but it just wasn't what I thought it was in that regard. I mean, they're just normal people. They act normally, I guess.
Now, you've been writing in your journal
Yes.
every day. So tell me some of the things that you've written about in your journal.
I think one of my favorite was walking around old Quebec City. That was really something truly awesome to see. All the old buildings, just kind of the atmosphere of it, the culture was really cool.
Mm-hmm. And so going to see in the old city, all the buildings, the different statues and stuff, it's full of history. Yeah.
It's really easy to walk through there. I mean, it's a lot of walking, but it doesn't seem like it because you're just taking everything in.
I was expecting it to be old, but just the walkthrough of the alleyways and all the buildings connected together, and there was just so much to look at all the time.
Well, this was my first time flying out of the country. It was very easy to travel, and even though I don't know French barely any, I was still able to communicate. As you heard, I made a friend. So
did you get any opportunities to interact with the natives here, the local people from Quebec?
I made a friend. Her name was Vivian, and we had dinner with her one night, and it was pretty fun. Just kind of talking, just kind of not as much I guess the stuff you would learn in school, more just what college is like here, what friendships are like and things like that. Just social media, just more of things that happen in our everyday lives in our age.
Well, think about some of the interactions that you've had with the people here.
Okay, yeah, so
the local people.
Yeah, so yesterday I went to it's a place called Le Pyramid, and that's where it's a food court, and I think there's a bar there, and a couple other shops. And on the way back, two men on a bicycle came up to me, and they were asking me what was going on in a football field that was being worked on. And I said, "Je ne parle pas français," I don't speak French. "Parlez-vous anglais?" And he said no. And he continued to talk in French, and pointing to the football field, so I knew he was talking about that. So I said, I think they're working on it. And he said, "Merci," and he drove away, and so I kind of yelled, "Bonne nuit," and he said, "Merci" back. So that was kind of my first real conversation in French, although it wasn't much. That's the first time I ever talked to a local who only knew French. Mm-hmm. And so just having that language barrier, and I couldn't necessarily break it because he didn't know any English and my French is very poor. But we did converse a little bit, and we got the gist of each other, so that was nice.
Have you had the chance to meet people here?
Yes, me and my friend Veronica, we met this girl named Vivian, and she just kind of showed us around a little bit. We went to dinner with her, just things like that.
And did you discuss differences between the U.S. and Quebec and Canada?
Yeah, a little bit. They think that guns are everywhere, like in America. Like, I don't know. I've heard that from a couple people that I talked to, just like around. They just think that guns are everywhere in America. So we kind of had to like be like, not everywhere. They're there, but they're not everywhere.
And did you talk at all about differences between the United States and Canada?
Yes, we did actually. She was saying how like she likes when like people try to speak in French even if it's really bad, because like they know if you obviously speak English, but like they kind of enjoy people trying to learn like to speak French.
I was talking to this one girl. We ended up having a conversation in Spanish, but she was like from here. She's from Quebec, and she was saying that no one here speaks Spanish, which is very contrary to my own experience. I hear like people on the bus and people on the streets, like not often per se, but like probably every day I hear them speaking Spanish, which is not the case whatsoever for West Virginia. It's like completely different. There's like a serious dearth of people who speak Spanish there.
I feel like things close a lot. Like, this is random, but I feel like things close a lot earlier here. I don't know if that's just like a capitalism thing, like they just want us to work to death in America. But here, like, it seems like everything closes kind of an hour or two after the work, like the business work day would end, so that people can kind of be home and they don't want to work like late hours.
We did the museum with the about the Battle of the Plains of Abraham. That was really cool. Because, I mean, they called it the 7 Years' War, but in America we call it like the French and Indian War. So I think it's cool to learn history from the perspective of like the different countries that participated in it.
It's cleaner here, so you don't see as much trash on the streets.
I found this one place where there was live music and they started singing Country Roads. That was really neat. Felt like a full circle sort of thing. I don't know that I ever really heard people speaking in English very often. It was way more common to hear French. Like people would greet you with French in the like cafes or whatever. They would start with that, and then if they like noticed the fear on your face, then they would switch. So it was always presumed that like French was like the language that everyone was going to speak, and that was interesting.
Is this a place you'd want to come back to?
I think so, yeah.
Any interest in learning French?
Absolutely.
It's inspired me to want to learn French more because it's all you hear around.
Mm-hmm.
Late June, I'm coming back with another student from West Virginia State to study at GlobalWV for 5 weeks to study French. So I'm excited for that.
So talk about some of the impressions that you've shared in your journal about the culture. And
I say Quebec or Canada is just a safe environment and it's different. So it's not like you're just going to another state in the U.S.
Like, I never felt safe, especially being from like cities in the U.S. Like, it's way worse there, I feel like.
It was really cool to learn kind of like a different perspective of things, like the multiculturalism and just being exposed to that.
You're exposed to a different language. I don't want to say it's a different culture necessarily than what we're used to in America. Not like they're completely different people. They have a lot of the same things. But you're surrounded by a different language, a different type of environment, and you have that feeling of being safe. You know, you're not overseas. You're a drive away if need be.